Welcome back to the channel, guys, or welcome to the channel if you are new. I am Galaxier and I do EVE Online news updates for the week on what's gone on in the last 7 days all around the universe, from highsec, lowsec, nullsec, Pochven, and sometimes wormholes when I can get the information. So this week has been quite a packed week, really. There's been not so much on the whole nullsec sovereignty campaign side of things, but there's been a lot of other news around as well, and a lot of it is to do with the Alliance tournament that's happened, which we'll be going over. And there's been a huge notable low-sec brawl, another one. It seems like every week these are happening, and it's always the same group seem to be having the most fun with dreadnoughts. There's some Alliance movements that we want to look at. There's some big changes for a particular Alliance moving. And then we're also going to dive into Z-Kill as we always do, or Z-Kill, depends. I've never heard someone mentioned in the comments on a previous video it's Z-Kill if you're in UK. I've always called it Z-Kill, just because, you know, it's a Z-Kill to me, but, you know, whatever. So, right, we're going to dive into this, guys. We're going to go over to Z-Kill first and have a look at some of the big kills that's happened there, and then we're going to start working our way through Dotlan and all the Alliance changes on who's moved around, and we've got some other stuff to look into. So, let's get stuck into this, guys, and I hope you enjoy it. So one of the first things you do when you come over to Z-Kill is you will see some of these huge expensive battleships. CCP's backyard in the last 7 days, that means Alliance tournament. These are flagships that people have used, and again, most valuable has been dominated by these flagships that have been killed in the Alliance tournament. Don't worry, someone wasn't flying a 210 bill officer fit APOC Navy issue around nullsec for whatever reason. It was killed in the Alliance tournament. So we are wanting to look at some stuff. So we have quite a big chunky kill here. It's not huge, but these guys, this is a prime example. If you are in any part of nullsec and your big Alliance staging, like ours is CTAC-J, Horde is RTAC A, I believe it is. I can't remember Fountains and Fraternities. But if you are in these areas, do not gate this kind of stuff around, because there's always people camping the gates, and you will just die. And look, 10 large skill injectors and a lot of dysprosium, and it was just a hell of that. I mean, from that 12 billion dropped, which most of it could have been scooped away in an interceptor. So be very careful when gating around nullsec or near your stager, because most times it will probably be camped. Oh, Marshall died. How did that happen? Goonswarms in CJ. Okay. Is that a dread? Oh, it is. Those are dreads. Okay, those dreads in CTAC-J. Nice. That's pretty cool. But yeah, a Marshal died, and again, these are Abyssal rolled. Yes, they are all Abyssal rolled, so you can guarantee they were pretty damn expensive. And plus, with the Satel's modified sensor booster, I mean, it's only 2.5 billion for a sensor booster. Sounds a lot in the grand scheme of things when it comes to Marshals. That's probably not a lot realistically, but a Marshal is always worth seeing how they died. There's been this group here, the Sleeping Duck. They got every structure of theirs destroyed, and a lot of them have been destroyed. So over the last week, they've lost all these Fortizars. They've lost, I think, by the looks of it, they haven't been. I mean, they've been active, but not a massive amount, not a huge amount of PvP going on, but they've just been absolutely deleted out of wormholes by, would you believe it, shock horror, the blue donut that's formed in the in wormholes, which is Laserhawks, Hard Knocks, and all their friends, which is the blue donut, which is essentially the biggest wormhole groups in wormhole space. Would you believe it? Have grouped together and decided, you know, they want to run wormholes, which is a few hundred systems, I believe. I think it's a few hundred wormholes. I mean, a lot of the C1, 2, and 3s, they're not that valuable to these guys. These guys want the C5s and 6s, and the Fortizar, again, it didn't really last long. It was obviously reinforced all the way through, but only 20 people I'm sure these guys could have put a defense up against it if they tried, but it probably looks like they didn't really defend them. Let's have a look, see if they actually did defend them, because I highly doubt it by the looking of... Oh no, they did. Or that was stuff that just ejected out. There was either a token defense from these guys, or it was just those were ejected out of the Fortizar and destroyed. But yeah, that's a C6. Yeah, so that makes sense. C6, a C5. Yeah, so C5s and 6s are getting heavily targeted, and these guys were targeted. So it looks like the Laserhawks and all these guys are taking on, cleaning out the C5s and 6s so they can make the maximum amount of money and own them, and then just leave everyone else in the lower end ones. So those guys have been evicted out of all their C5s and 6s. I don't know if they had it. By the looks of it, they might have had an initial agreement with these guys. It looks like there was... I don't think these were just anchored and, you know, whatever. I suspect there was some form of agreement why all these Fortizars were in that space, and then these guys have turned around and said, right, you either need to pack up or we're going to take everything down. And they took everything down by the looks of it, or they're just cleaning house and putting their own stuff down. I don't know. I want to. If anyone knows, I'd be interested to get a bit of context about that one. Also, thank you guys that do get in touch with context for stuff. I really do appreciate the context being given to me. So either an email to my main character Galaxier, or you can hop into my Discord, message me, and then we can talk there. Absolutely brilliant. I've had a few people on recently give me some really, really good feedback or context on stuff that's been destroyed. Always good to listen to, hear how things went down properly. But I'm going to look at capitals. So I want to see... Go to try... Oh, when was this? This is today. Hello. What's been going on here today? Haven't even seen this. Some dreads from Shadow Cartel and Snuffed Out and whatnot. Nice little brawl going on there. Couple dreadnoughts dying. Always good to see dreadnoughts dying. So let's have a look. If we go big kills, 10 plus billion. So we've got a Nyx from TNT. He was in Aquarius. What was he doing in Aquarius? What was he doing in Aquarius? But it looks like he got dread bombed by Only Fleets. Possibly by the looks of it, a Duncan dread. Yeah, that's not your typical alliance fit. That is not your typical alliance fit. So that looks like oh, the plot thickens. He might have been left behind in a move, and he's just come online, and it looks like he's moving a lot of stuff. Unless he was in. Let's have a look, see where he used to be. Oh yeah, he hasn't played for a very long time, so he probably logged out in his super carrier back in 2021, and he hasn't logged. Oh no, he did log. Oh, he did log back in. Okay, so he was in TNT. He got kicked for inactivity, so he whatever. I don't know what he was doing in Providence, but he then went and got his super and started bringing it over and got caught with his pants down, moving. That makes sense. So we got... What else have we got? We've got another Marshals died. And I want to look at the super carrier kills, so let's have a look at those. Capitals. Change these to capitals. This filter to capitals. Go on here. I don't want to put nullsec because a lot of big kills happen in low sec as well. An initiative Nyx was destroyed in Genesis. Again, that is a hyperdunking one. That is what you call a hyperdunking one. All in a line and warp speed and sensor boosters. What was he dunking on though? That's the question. He must have killed whatever he was. Oh, no. Yes, no. No, he didn't. He must have just got caught with his panties down. Unlucky. I know Horde did lose a super carrier in Malpay. Malpay? Yeah, Malpay. So Goons dread bombed another Horde super, which was a Hell. Okay, this was a Hell. They also formed a Maelstrom fleet by the looks of it, and basically Horde have moved their capital, which I'm going to try and bring up for you now, because I've got the ping here from that Goblin sent out to the Alliance. Where did it go? So this was the ping that went out to the Alliance of Horde. So effective medial new staging is Artak A, Peregrine Falls. That's where everything is going. So they're moving out of E8 over to Artak A. Now it's essentially to cover more assets and more of the space instead of being right on the border with us, as they no longer feel like they need to, because Goons haven't pushed into drone lands after that war kind of got to a semi perma war kind of level. They realised we weren't actually going to push into drone lands, and they now don't need to cover all the regional gates, which, in my opinion, is a bit of a bad move. But I'll go into that in a second. This gives them more space to cover with everything within bridge range of a Titan. It gives them more space, essentially, that they can cover. As it says here, they were moved for a while on whether we need to stage directly in range of regionals or could get away with being slightly deeper. Currently, regionals seem under control, with most action playing out in Outer Passage and Geminet, which is GTAC Q was most of the asset content, and it was some of the hunting was going out the back of Outer Passage. So after get this new approach a shot, the main advantage is safer crabbing, particularly pan crab, and a better reach over several areas of drone lands that will get troll toasted at times, given its more central location, which it is in more central locations. They said they're going to monitor and see how the enemy responds, enemy being us. So this is the range that their Titans have. So they are here. So you will notice that all these regionals are out of range now. So they are 2 jumps away from if they want to bring capitals to a fight, they have to midpoint to the fight, which is absolutely fine. If it's a few hundred people in there and the tie-dye kicks in, you're absolutely fine. You're going to get plenty of time to move your caps, so it doesn't make too much of a difference on that side of things. But having caps to immediately drop on a fleet is probably not viable anymore, because they would, if by the time a fleet's in their space hitting stuff, they already know that they already have to midpoint to get to them. So it does put them on the back foot a tiny bit with having to midpoint capitals to the regionals, but at the same time that's kind of nullified by the fact that if it is a tie-dye fight or reinforcing a big structure or something like that, the tie-dye will help Horde move those capitals into position without too much actually happening in that system because of tie-dye. But as you can see, there is a lot of space here, hell of a lot of space that's within their Titan bridge range. That is an insane amount of systems. So 219 systems are in range by the looks of it of said, and the problem is, if I remember correctly, the problem is they are only allowed 20 systems that they can run crab beacons in. So you can have 20 people running crab beacons at any one time under the cover of that. And I think there was a further, I can't remember how many regions there was, how many systems there were for Wormhole mining, but I think it was a little bit different. Let me just double check my notes here. So Rooks can run any T3 or ice anomalies in super range of Artak A, so there's no real restriction on what systems you can run Rorquals in. Rorks can only mine T3 or ice anoms in these systems. There is a link there, but I can't because it's a screenshot. But there's a lot of systems they can run in Malpire as well. But I don't know why they won't let Rorquals in T2 sites. Maybe because T2 sites and T3 sites are quite big. T2 sites aren't massive, but they are pretty substantial. So I don't know why Rorks can't use them there. That seems a bit odd. I would probably say Rorks can't use a tier 1 site because that would just be a bit overkill. But I don't know. So there's 20 systems they can run crab beacons in, and then there was a lot more systems for Rorquals. But Rorquals are restricted to T3 mining anomalies or ice anomalies. Okay. I'm not 100% sure why they've got restrictions. I'm not sure why they've got restrictions on where Rorquals can mine. I mean, if it's your alliance base, sure, you can use your Rorqual wherever you are in range of here. Surely. Like, sure, you let your members use Rorquals anywhere in your own space that's covered. I don't understand the restrictions. If someone in Horde can enlighten me, like give me actual context to those restrictions, because from an outside perspective, I don't see why they won't just let Rorquals mine wherever they within these 200 systems, wherever there's mining upgrades. I'm not 100% sure about that one. But yeah. I'm not sure about that one, if I'm completely honest. So I did go on a little tangent here. So we're going to go back to Z-Kill. Sorry about that. I got completely sidetracked. So we'll come off that. Goons lost 90 billion and 79 billion was lost on this side. But again, these are, I believe these dreadnoughts are handed out. They're not bought by any members. They're handed out by the Alliance. And I think these are when members build these dreadnoughts, you can trade them in with the Alliance for a Navy Dread, for example. And I believe these are the ones that get traded in. And they're just excess. That's what I've heard. Again, could be completely wrong, but that's what I've heard. So this was the, was that the Aeon? I brought that one up twice. So yeah, this was the Aeon that died, and there was the was that the Nyx? 81 billion to 101 billion. Yeah, so this was the Nyx that died. He had a Nyx. August, he had a Nyx, and then he lost an Aeon. He lost an Aeon recently. That sucks. Losing 2 supers sucks. That sucks big time. So there was also quite a big brawl in Orna in Metropolis. Again, it's Metropolis. I don't see the strategic value to this region where Fraternity are dumping hundreds and hundreds of billions of dreadnoughts over Metanox Moon. I mean, what's that Metanox Moon mining? That's right. Okay, I can't see that moon, that being the reason that they're all fighting over this. I imagine Deepwater Hooligans have got loads of Metanox drills up, and they are for goading out fights like this. And I am not sure why Fraternity are so hard on feeding this many dreadnoughts. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing Fraternity for doing this, because everyone's having fun, everyone's getting the dreads out, everyone's having a crack cap brawl, and that's really good. These kind of fights are actually really fun. I know there will be tie-dyeing them, but they are actually really fun to get on if you've never got on them. They are a lot of fun. I just can't understand the strategic value of Metropolis unless it is to work the way down into. Let me just duplicate this tab. Go to Universe and Metropolis. Surely not. They're trying to get somewhere in between Imperium and Horde. Yeah, they're not real. I mean, it's kind of. Surely it's. I don't know. It looks like maybe they're trying to get us a stronghold here, so they can come down and then either go up to Geminate or down into Goon Space. Not 100% sure. I have no idea what the whole point behind fighting so hard in Metropolis is. But as long as everyone's getting fights and having fun, it doesn't matter really. Doesn't matter. I just don't understand what because this is not the first time that they must have fed so far in the last 4 months, 4 months, maybe less, 3 months or so. They have probably fed a good few trillion in dreadnoughts just in this region. So I don't know. It's not a bad thing for people. I'm just a bit confused about that. So that is a part pretty much. Let's have another quick browse on Zkill. Let's have another quick fly through Zkill. So again, there's not huge amounts of stuff. I mean, this was one hell of a spicy moon drill. Look at that, 32. So there was 13 billion in dysprosium and 10 billion in, nearly 11 billion in promethium. So 26 billion dropped just from these guys hitting it. I don't think Fraternity must have remembered how expensive that moon was, but you know, it's not a huge amount for that's chump change really for Fraternity, because they are a very, very rich alliance. But you know, that is so. Location PTAC VY Moon 9 is a very valuable moon in Venal. So if you want to hit that, go for it. It's a very expensive moon. Just keep cycling on it, or try and take it for yourself and hold it for a month. You know, you'll get a good chunk of money out of it. Right, so let's move on to SOV campaigns. So SOV campaigns are when alliances reinforce another alliance's sovereignty hub, and essentially what that does is then puts that system into reinforce, which after a certain amount of time, depending on when that alliance set the time for command nodes to spawn, they start spawning, and that's how you take a solar system from an alliance, just for those people that aren't fully aware with SOV warfare. So when a system gets reinforced, the attackers have to come back and hack it again to destroy the sovereignty hub, which removes the SOV from that system. If the attackers don't come back, it will, I believe, unless it's changed in the last few years, like it will eventually, it will just keep ticking up in the defender's favor. If there's a no-show on these systems, they will just naturally tick back towards Pandemic Horde, for example, and Fraternity. So if they're not contested, then, you know, just leave it, and I'm pretty sure it ticks back up to the original owner. But these ones here, I imagine, are just troll reinforcing, because if we have a look at the Peregrine Falls one, one's up here and one's here, and then in Oasa it's here. So I don't think they're any strategically important systems, to be honest. But with Tenal, which is Fraternity space, again, it's not. I don't think it's a strategically important system. I haven't personally been out to those systems to see what infrastructure's there. If there is important infrastructure there, like say that system, for example, has a super capital construction array in there, that facility or upgrade that allows supers to be built there, then it is strategically important, because because then you have to find another system, or then you have to wait for the system to strategic level to upgrade again before you can put that upgrade in. So if you don't find another system to set it up in, which means moving upgrades around, and it's a bit of a not a bit of a nightmare, it's more of a micro pain in the backside that an alliance could do without. So unless it's got something like that in there, which I doubt, then I can't see that why they would be followed. Any of these would be followed up, but it's worth having a look at, just because SOV campaigns, you know, sometimes they can lead to something, sometimes they can lead to fights, or sometimes they just fizzle out and nothing happens. So let's move on to alliance movements. Now this is member movements over the last 7 days. I'm not going to look at 30 days because I covered that in the last few videos of how, but that number has come down drastically, which is good for Horde. Goons have gained another 469 members, and Horde have gained another 300 members. Out of the Blue, which is an Imperium member, have gained 200 members. Fraternity have gained nearly another 200 members. Just this is all in the last 7 days, so I kind of feel like that was a corporation that was moving from one place to another. That to me seems like a big corporation has just joined Goons. I wonder if there's a way. Changes per day? Not really. So, oh, here we are. Yeah. So, joined Goon Swarm. So, Loneliness Legends Industries joined Goons. United Eden Training Company joined Goons. I'm wondering if some of these are Alt Corps. Yeah, Alt Corps. One member, 8. Yeah, they're just Alt Corps. So, 54 member corp has joined. Where did they come from? Who were they with? Alliance History. Mohist Alliance, so that's a member of Pandemic Family. They've joined. I don't know why they left, but you know, that's probably a story for another time. Fraternity gained a corp. Cladderhounds, who are they? Alliance History. Stella, that's a French group, I believe. That are they? No, they're not. Where's their Sov? Outer Passage. Oh, they're PanFam. So Horde have lost. Pandemic Family, which is Horde and Friends, have lost a corporation to Fraternity, and also lost a corporation to Goons in this last week. I wonder why they left, because you know normally there's a good reason why people leave. I don't know what, but again, I don't know what they are. They might have just got, you know, wanted a change of scenery, or they might just be a bunch of insurgents that are now going to wreak havoc in our in our infrastructure and spy and do all the nasty stuff behind the lines, which, you know, it can happen. It can happen quite easily. So the next one I want to go to is the Alliance Tournament winners, which is... Right, okay. I can't find the post. I literally had it before I started recording it, and I might have closed the window that had it, unfortunately. But Alliance Tournament winners of this year were Tuskers Co. They were against Meta in the final round, and they did a very, very good job. Tuskers Co. are very good at the small gang PvP. They are very, very experienced in the Alliance tournament, and this is actually the third time they've won it. Not consecutively, but this is the third time that they've won the Alliance tournament, which means they now get access to those new ships, which I'm now going to bring a clip up of. So, if you are new to the Alliance tournament, it is a tournament where all alliances put teams forward of up to 10 people, and they all fight, and you know there are prizes at the end. So you can see here, this is where all the groups were fighting each other, and they went along, and it was hell of a tournament actually this year. I actually watched it, and it was really, really good tournament. So there are a set of rules which you can have a look through there, but the prizes for Tuskers Co are 40 Skua and 40 Anhinga, and the Skua is, oh, I can't remember which way around this is now. I believe the Anhinga you know what, there it is. It's written right there for me. So the Anhinga is a Naga, which has different fire modes and different abilities and stuff like that with it, and it is missiles as well. It is going to be a very, very expensive ship. The Skua is based on the Jackdaw Tech 3 destroyer, and the winners get 40 of each, and then second place, so that will be Meta, they will get 20, and then it goes down and down and down. But a lot of Alliance tournament ships, these ships, if you are ever interested to see how much these ships go for in the end, you're looking upwards of 200 billion for a ship. You're talking like Faction Titan prices for some of them, which is insane. And there's 140 ships are being given out, so these were probably the battle cruiser I would probably suggest goes for around Well, if the Python was a Black Ops ship and that went for that goes for 1.2 trillion, I reckon these battle cruisers will probably go for 500 billion, I think, a piece, each, which is insane. And if you think you get a couple of them or a few of them, because if there's 40, if there's 40 of each battlecruiser and Tech 3 destroyer. So if we do 40, I can't believe I got a calculator out for that. 40 divided by 10 members is each person in that team gets 4 of each. So you're talking trillions and trillions of ISK, easily. So you make each person in that was in that team for the Alliance tournament that won, they're probably going to get upwards of 2 trillion ISK for winning, which is an insane prize for that. And then obviously there's also skins and stuff like that you can get for it, but everyone wants those tournament ships. This is done every year as well. It is a really, really good tournament. There's all sorts of coverage on it. There's loads of talking about going over the comps and stuff like that, on what people use, tactics they use. It's a really, really, really good tournament. Very, very expensive prizes. But yeah, big shout out to Tusker's Co for winning. Huge congratulations on that. It is no easy feat to win these tournaments. There are some extremely good players out there. So to win the tournament, and for a third time actually, is kind of crazy. But yeah, it's those prizes are nice. I do want to see the prices of the price of the prize when they do actually come out in the end. It'll be cool to see that. And I believe that was everything. Yeah, I think that is absolutely everything, guys. Lastly, I do want to do a shout out for the members of this YouTube channel. So I have a membership running, and again, I don't ask for memberships, and I will not ask for memberships, but I just want to give a shout out to my 4 YouTube members, which is absolutely amazing. First of all, thank you to you guys. So we have Lee, and we have Wolfie Slayer, Sausage and Eve, who's also the Mad Rambo. Find him on Twitch. And Sally Solomon, long-time supporters of the channel. So thank you so much for getting those YouTube members. I know it doesn't offer much at the minute, but as you know, maybe as the channel grows, we'll get some proper perks going in there. But huge thank you to those guys for being channel members. I am done, guys. I've finished all the news, and I was just trying to think then if there was something else that I do, but I do run the risk of just waffling on as I normally do. My problem is I get distracted too easily, and I end up going down a rabbit hole. Before you know it, I've gone off track. So I'm going to call it there. We've got a lot. Hopefully, I've got an interview sorted this week. So we've got another Alliance leader interview. Quite an interesting one. So got that one coming later this week. We'll hopefully get some more combat footage. I've seen some of you guys have been liking those combat footage videos, so really appreciate those. If you do want to find some more of the videos I've done, there's a back catalogue in 2 of the there's a couple playlists I've got if you want to check out some of those. But thank you for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will see you later on in this week when we get the next video out. Take care, and you have a good evening.